Okay, hello everyone. I'm back again for part 2 of my Q&A. And so for this part, I'm just gonna do a brief overview of all the books that I have written leading up to the Paid Mother series, and just my journey in Wattpad and through all that in general, and how I came to write and things like that. The first book I ever written or ever published on Wattpad is called Twin Gods. And those of you who have been following me or just started following me and want to look at my old books, Twin Gods, I'm gonna be honest, is trash. It is trash. I don't want to say trash because I wrote it. It was my first book, and I still love the concept and idea that I have written for the book. But it's trash in terms of how I wrote it. The grammar's 10 times worse than the Paid Mother series. It's just all over the place. When I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, you can see my mental state and how young I was when I wrote that. So I'm just gonna give you a little synopsis of the Twin Gods. So if you go on my profile and you click on for the Twin Gods book, it is basically an excerpt from one of my chapters. Okay, so it says, wait, you knew what Nick said, or said Nick? Don't lie, Dad, you knew. You knew the whole time. You knew since the first time he set eyes on Jake and me. Nick sighed. Answer me. Alex, calm. No, Jake, he knew me and you were supposed to be. Oh, wow. I'm sorry, it's been a long time. I'm like, Jake, who's that? It's been so long. No, Jake, he knew me and you were twins the whole time, and he never said anything. That's why he been so quiet lately about this whole thing. Yes, whispered Nick. How, you see? But I wasn't sure. What do you mean you wasn't sure? You got a little 10-year-old telling you we're twins just by one look. You're a freaking doctor. Yes, but no, you knew. When I asked you, was I ever adopted, you knew it was true. But again and again you lied. Jake didn't know what to say. He felt so bad. It's funny you guys were talking about how I lie and sneak around, but really I'm disappointed in you, Dad. Nick couldn't say anything because it was true. How did you even find me? She asked. I didn't find you. Oh, I didn't. You found me. I was late. It was late. I was going to leave work until I saw a beautiful baby crying in a small basket. I asked the hospital, did it belong to anyone? And they said no. You may be abandoned. So I didn't want you to end up in foster care. Me and your mother been begging and praying for a child. What about JC? He was just a miracle. Does Mom know? No, she thinks you're her real baby, and you see she had a miscarriage. Tears slowly start to fall. Okay. That was like a lot. What's going on? Sorry. Okay, yeah, that was a lot. So, basically, Twin Gods is about it's supernatural. This is how I can paint the picture for it. Twin Gods is a mix of Twitches. I don't know if you guys are Disney Channel fans, like OG 90s, Sister, That's So Raven, you know, Disney Channel fans, Proud Family fans. But there used to be a show, well, Teen to Mary, Sister, you know, they had a movie, and it was just about twin witches. So that's kind of the same thing here, except they're not really witches. They do have magical powers, and it's like paranormal stuff, and it's like Twitches mixed with what's the other book I use? Immortal Instruments. So shadow hunters type of thing, like people who defend, like to protect Earth from supernatural beings and things like that. So it's like a mixture of all of that put into one. And Twin Gods came along. I got inspired from the Immortal Instruments series that was my favorite series that I've read when I was in high school, and I just loved it. And when my sister was telling me about Wattpad, that's what kind of popped into my head and kind of gave me encouragement to do that, because also I wanted more diversity. In the series, there is some, but it's very hard to tell a little bit because, you know, it's a book, you don't see the characters. Like in the supernatural realm, there's diversity in terms of, like, there's a gay character, and I believe there's a character that's like one black character or something. I don't remember, it's been a long time, but majority of the characters are white and British. Or white mixed with something else, I guess you can say. Yeah, so I wanted to do something different. So Twin Gods came, I also got motivated from, I saw on the news about twins who don't look alike. Don't look alike in terms of like skin color and everything. So like mixed parents, and they will have twins where the boy will probably look like the dad, like a black African-American male, and then the sister will look like the mom, and she looks like a Caucasian woman, like, you know, blue eyes, blonde hair, but they share the same blood. They're both twins, but they look like two different people, like not even the same family, which is really interesting. So I was like, oh, I like that. I think that's cool. It's very rare too for twins like that as well. So I wanted to add that in there. And you know, I love the whole switch at birth thing, and when I was growing up, that was like the it thing, you know, Parent Trap, Sister. A lot of shows that had like twins and then separated. Even Zack and Cody had a movie similar to that before. So yeah, so that's what I got inspired from. And the way I wrote, I got inspired from the Maximum Ride series. I forgot the author, but it was just basically about mutants and kids, and like they're mutants and they have wings and some have powers and things like that, and they're trying to like go into society and integrate society. Basically, that mutant kids trying to integrate society. Some of them are hiding their powers and things like that. So his writing style, I kind of try to emulate that. Since I was in love with the book, I was like, oh, I need to write like this. This is how you're supposed to write. And then my concepts and stuff came from the More Instrument series, and I thought, oh, okay, this is how I'm supposed to like most. When I first started writing, I was basically copying other authors that I admire, and I thought, oh, I had to be like them. I didn't have my own style until the Paved Mother series. I can say that that's the one book I feel like I came into my own. Yeah, so the the Twin Gods, that was my first book, and I started off writing by paper at first. I had notebooks full of chapters. I would let my friends read it. They'd be like, oh my gosh, girl, what? And I would just write. I already loved writing because in middle school, I wrote poems, like fifth grade until middle school. I wrote poetry, and I loved poetry. And I'm a huge romantic, like, that's why all my stories mostly does with relationships and romance. Like, I can't watch anything without romance. It has to be romance. It can be horror. I'm scared. I hate horror. But if you give me a couple in there, I'm gonna be interested. I need romance. I love it. So, I used to write poetry and all that. And so when writing poetry, that kind of introduced me to writing and things like that, and trying to express myself. So with the Twin Gods, it still says editing. It needed to be edited. I don't even know when was the last time I even wrote. I don't even know if I can check on here. It's been years, and I still haven't edited or anything. Every now and then, like, I'll go back and be like, ooh, look at that grammar, and I'll fix it. But I haven't had a chance to, like. Next up is Legend. And Legend came from, like I said in my, if you go on my profile, on my Wattpad profile, when I introduce myself, I say that, you know, most of my inspiration either comes from my dreams, a picture that I see, and then, like, the ideas flow. Like, that would be a nice book cover. Ooh, okay, idea starts coming off. Yeah, so either books, pictures I've seen, songs, things like that. Literally anything and everything is inspiration for me when I write. I still have, like, on my phone, notes of other books that I have in mind, but I'm trying to pace myself, like, girl, relax. Where is Legend? Sorry, I'm just trying to look for, there it is. So Legend, I don't really, okay. So the Legend came from, there was a picture, little did I find out that picture was actually an anime. Did not know that, but I was on Google looking up images and I saw this picture, and the anime is from, don't quote me, okay? It's anime, Japanese. I don't know if I said it right. I say FLI, but it could be pronounced different. I don't know if there's any anime fans out there, but it was the girl with pink hair, and she had like these little, not cat ears, but she had horns, and then she was a experiment. And also, anyway, just a lot of gore. It was a gory anime, and she had arms, and she could kill people, all this and stuff. So anyway, there was a picture of her, and it was a very beautiful picture. She was like this, and her hair was blowing in the wind. I thought that was really nice. And I asked my friends, I'm like, if you saw this as a book cover, what would you think the title would be? And my guy friend said Legend. And I'm like, Legend? That's interesting. Okay. And then that stuck. And then ideas started flowing. And Legend is also mixed from a dream that I had. So Legend is about a girl named Willow. Legend came during my emo phase. Okay. So I wrote this like freshman year. So freshman year of high school. So I was like that awkward middle school transitioning to high school phase. And I was going through I feel like everyone has the emo phase, this dark phase. You know, I was into the punk rock. I was wearing black all the time. You know, hormones was all over the place. I just hated life and everything. Felt like my parents didn't understand me. Like, no one understand me. I hate society, all this stuff. And I didn't like the way I looked, all this stuff. So I was going through a big depression, hating myself, darkness, emo, punk rock phase. Linkin Park was life. You feel me? Like, I still love Linkin Park to this day. But, I was all up in, like, you know, listening to the rock and what's it called? That like that type of. I was all up in it. So yeah, so Legend came around when I was going through that phase. So in Legend, there is a lot of like suicidal things. The music that I mentioned is also from punk rock, emo bands as well, and Willow is like that. She was a lot of black. She's very dark and depressed, and you know she's been abused and things like that as well. So I'm just gonna quickly read a synopsis, and it says, Willow's mother died giving birth to her. These past few years, she's been living with her father, who can't say no to drugs. She never stays at a place more than 3 weeks. On her way to San Francisco, she meets a guy named Brian. Later on her 16th birthday, strange things start to happen to her. And on top of that, her dad ends up going to jail for selling drugs. Where can she go? As you see from all my books that I've published, I have other books that have a lot of chapters, but I just don't publish them. Like, I decided to make drafts, if that makes sense. Like, only I can see them. But anyway, if you see, you know, from all my books, you can tell that I am growing, and it's different from just, because at the time when I was in Wattpad, everybody was doing it. They would just put a quote from their book and put that as a synopsis. And I was like, oh, okay, people doing that, I should do that too. And that's what I did. But now in this one with Legend, I actually have a little real synopsis. Now that I'm more, I gain more experience as writing, I know I can do better than that. I don't really like it. But yeah, Legend in a dream, I got also inspired from a dream. I had a dream that I was related to a Greek god, and I was in school for Greek gods that go and things like that. It was a quick dream. This happened a long time ago, so I just remember that it was kind of based off a dream with mythology, and I was in there, and I went to this school, and it was just crazy stuff. But anyway, yeah, so it came from a friend telling me Legend. They thought of Legend, and then I'm like, okay. And then I had a dream, and I'm like, oh, Legend, Greek mythology, put that in there. Yeah, so Willow came into a period that, emo Josie. That's when it came. So I do love Legend, and also the name Willow came from another book I love, and it was also not emo, but it dealt with depression and suicide and things. It was a very, very good book. Romance. It was just beautiful about a girl. She was abused. She hated herself. You know, she was trying to commit suicide, and this boy comes in and just helps her love again, basically. And I just loved it. Yeah, and so that's the Legend. What else is after that? Silver Fang Found. Okay, so Silver Fang came from a period in Wattpad. It's still pretty popular, but I feel like it's declined in terms of the books that are being put out. So it came from a period where werewolf books were the shit. Like, werewolf books were everywhere. I used to, before they changed the format of Wattpad, where you go on the website, and right off the bat, you'll see like new, like I think they still do it now, but I guess they just changed how it looks. But you'll see like booked hot for the week or the month or things like that, and they'll be like new books out, and it's like blowing up, and you'll see that like top 5 for each writing category for each genre. And werewolf books were like up there, and I don't know, I think it was like the originals, Vampire Diaries. They were the reason why like werewolf books and vampires were taking over and being hot and noticeable. And Twilight, I think Twilight was still going. Did I write it with Twilight? No, I didn't write it with Twilight. It was still hot, but at least in Wattpad, that's when it was like taking off. So yeah, so I was seeing all these werewolf books, and I love werewolf books. There's some good ones I've read, and you can go on my library and you'll see some. I read a lot of good books, and I came to a period where I'm just like, I don't relate to these people. I don't, like, there was no black people. I'm like, okay, let's be real. My sisters out there, let's be real. Like, sometimes I be reading these paranormal books and I be like, that's why I think there is no black people with paranormal stuff, because we know better, and we would not be going through this shit that they be going through. Like, case closed. Like, we would not be in the forest, period. What we got business over there? We would not be over there. So there's no reason for us to interact with paranormal people. And then let's say we at school, and this dude comes up saying, "You're mine." We would have been like, hold up, he ain't talking to me. All our friends would have, like, it would be case closed. And I think that's why we're not invited to the table when it comes to that. But it would be nice as a reader, as someone who likes different genres, to just see that. But anyway, yeah, so Silver Fang came from me wanting to be like, I'm reading all these werewolf books and I don't feel included. So that's why I wrote it. And I'm just gonna read a little synopsis. Kiki always been known as a sunshine girl born and raised in Cali. Loves to party and have a good time. But when an unexpected death happens to the only person she called family, her sweet, chill personality is shattered. That's a long sentence. After graduation, she leaves California in hopes to find peace and to move on. But what she didn't think was to run into an alpha that claims to be her father. And all my books, I think you gotta be like a really big book nerd to like catch this. But I do a lot of I catch myself doing this as well. Most of my books have a lot of family issues, but mostly daddy issues. And it may look like, you know, like in that, like, oh, the author's having some deeper meaning that maybe she haven't. Obviously no parent is perfect. I don't have daddy issues, but I am very close with my father the most. I am a daddy's girl, so I guess that's why I feel like maybe that's kind of rubbing off my books, where like my main characters have daddy issues. For example, with Twin Gods, with the twins in that my first book, you know, they're separated, and the father knew that his daughter wasn't really his daughter, and she didn't know that, things like that. There's tension in that family dynamic of being adopted and not knowing, and in knowing that you have another family someplace else that's alive and you have another sibling. Silver Fang Found being my main character, which is Kiki. She didn't know her father, thought her father left her, it was her and her mom, and then her mom dies, and then she meets her father, and then just trying to reconnect and things like that, and trusting again and all that. There's that. So even in Paid Mother, father issues there. You know, it's really weird. Yeah, there's a lot of family dynamic dysfunction going on in each of my books if you really pay attention. Yeah, so Silver Fang is yeah, it just came from just being inspired, saying I'm reading all these books, I don't feel included, I'm just gonna write. I am very positive thing. It is very, very hard to write a paranormal book that makes sense and kind of like stay true to the paranormal realm, because you don't want to do things that's far out there and you're just like, you know, you guys Wimp Pad fans, y'all know, like, you be reading books paranormal, you be like I thought she was human, and then like with the next chapter, some like my friend was telling me how she read a book about these two couples. They were on a date, they went to a carnival, and then this spiritual lady was like, "Oh, I feel something, and I feel it. You got some power." She's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Next thing you know, find out she's Chupacabra. Like, what does that even mean? Like, you know, sometimes you be reading books like, okay, I know it's paranormal, but you're reaching. Like, this is it, and you're like reaching. You feel me? Like, off the camera, you reaching, girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like. So it's very hard. Like, I wasn't trying to be out there, but it was very hard to stay. I don't want to say putting a box is a bad thing, but just to stay in the realm of my book to make sense. And plus, everyone has, if you read a lot of different paranormal books, in terms of werewolf, people interpret werewolves very differently. Even in TV shows, very differently. Like, some people, like, for werewolves, they don't transform into a full wolf. There's no mates, there's no Luna type of thing. You know, each book has their own interpretation of werewolves and traditions of werewolves, how they came to be, all that. And so for me, it was very, very hard to just find my own thing for the werewolves and all that. I am very positive thing. I actually did write a second book for it. I have a spinoff, which is basically just all the characters and their point of views and things like that. And then I have a second book, which is called Silver Fang Control, and it is based off of Kiki's. If you are a fan, if you've read Silver Fang or read a few chapters, you know Kiki has a brother, and so it's kind of, the second book is kind of about him. And I've written already like a few chapters. I think I have 5 chapters already out. And I had it out, but then I put it on hold, and then it was on hold for too long, and I was like, I didn't delete it, but I just unpublished it. So it's just saved, only I can see it. With the whole Paid Mother, things like that, I didn't want to, like, you know, there was a time where I was posting 2 books at the same time, and that was driving me crazy. So that's why I kind of, I still want to do Silver Fang and all that. I just haven't found the time, and right now it's just not the time. So, also I need to go back and fix grammar. Like, there's so many people I need to go back and fix grammar, and it's just a lot of work to do that. Especially if you've written a lot of books. I have a lot of books, some that I have written that have a lot of chapters, and I have not published them yet. Yeah, so what's the next? Silver Fang, and there's Stuck Like Glue. Stuck Like Glue came from me reading a lot of chick flick books. I love chick flicks, you know, I love romance as well. And so, as I said, some of the books, like, you know, rich guy, poor girl type of thing, I just couldn't connect. The girl was stupid. I love books with a strong, independent female. That's me. I love it when the girl's like, get out of my face, blah, blah, blah. You don't tell me what to do. I'm a strong, independent woman. I got it. I don't need your money. I may be broke. I may be crawling on the streets. But you don't control me. You know, like, she's just at the bottom and she's still strong. I love it. And I also do find it cute if the guy is like, I know you're a bad bitch. I know you a strong bitch. But with me, with us together, we could be strong together. Like, that's kind of how the Paid Mother with Jackie and Kevin came to be as well, the relationship. But anyway, Stuck Like Glue, yeah, just another chick flick. unlike the two main characters, one is I think they're both Italian. I believe they're both. No, one's American, I think, and one's Italian. It's been a while. But yeah, so it just came out. There was a book I read. I forgot the name of it, and it's kind of similar to this. And it was about a girl. She owned a hotel. The guy, I think he just owned businesses, and like her family's famous for hotels and like cooking and things like that. So she had a best friend who's gonna marry that guy. And then they came to dinner, and the best friend was like, "He ain't shit, girl. Like, don't be with him." And so, and the guy got mad because he thinks because of that, their wedding was over. So he wanted to get revenge on her. And she lived her life like, "Dude, you still hung up on this? Like, I was just being honest. You showed up late to the dinner, and I thought you weren't shit for that." So I just told her whether she wanted to be with you or not, that's her business. So anyway, they have this love-hate relationship, and she actually finds out that he's a good guy, and they fall in love. And then the best friend who broke up the marriage, she's mad, saying like, basically, you stole my man. I broke up with him because I thought you didn't want me to be with him, and he wasn't the one. And I don't remember the name of that, but if y'all know, y'all can put in the comments if y'all want. But it's a very, very good book. So anyway, I got inspired from that. So I'm just gonna read the synopsis. It's very short. All their life, the Rooks. Okay, I feel like just like everybody on Wattpad, I be getting my names and last names from baby generators. Okay, because I don't have names like that, and especially if I want a name that is for a specific race or country or background, I go on Google. Like, I don't know, so I pick the name is Q. But I don't mean I say it out loud, okay? So I'm sorry. And I appreciate you guys for that way too. And y'all be reading names like, I'm gonna just say that in my head and pretend that it's right, okay? So yeah, all their life, the Rooks and the Romanos been giving their children everything their heart could possibly want and more, handing them the world on a silver platter. Now they both want to be free and their kids to grow up and live their own lives. What happens when they force them into marriage they can't refuse? Handcuff a cocky flower boy prince and a stubborn loud mouth. I guess they're stuck together. Yeah, that needs some work. But as you can see from my last book, my synopses are getting very different and growing more. Yeah. So that's really it. How many chapters I have? I have like more than 5 chapters already out. You can check that out. I haven't updated since 4 years ago. Okay, so but I think I do have a chapter saved. I just never published it yet and finished it. But that is something else. My whole page needs to be redone, you guys. But yeah, that's something else that I want to continue. I believe, I was going to say after the payment is over, I'll go back. But I'm like, no, I actually already have a book that I really, I've been tempted to say, publish, because I already have a chapters out. Like, I'm going to save that tea for another time. Stuck like glue, and then that would be it. Wait, I have short stories. So short stories that's also on my profile is there's one called Red Light, and that's actually a short story I wrote when I was freshman in high school, and it was an English class. And for writing exercises, my teacher would post pictures and say, look at this picture and just write about like whatever feeling, whatever pops in your head from this picture, just write. And it was a picture of, it was raining and there was a red light. Like, I think it was a red street light. And so Red Light is about a guy who can't get over his dead girlfriend and he goes to seek therapy. That's really it. And then it's a short story. I think it's like 1-2 pages. I think it's just 1 page, at least on Wattpad, so you can check that out. Jim is also an initial story that I've written from school, where we were doing like every week we were writing short stories. Like, she was just like, it's short story week. I'm gonna help you guys pass the FCAT, from Florida, by the way. Thank God we don't have that no more. I'm jealous, but I had to go through that. So anyway, she's like, I'm gonna help you guys pass the FCAT. We're gonna write. So Jim is basically about my relationship with a guy, and it was a good short story. And what we used to do in the class, she would pick a random story, and then as a class we will grade and critique the story. So my story was chosen, Whippy, and a lot of people loved it. But what stuck is because it was a short story and it had a word count. It's very hard to talk about a long relationship in a short amount of time, and that's, I kind of got marked for that, because she's like, this is good, but it's, this is something you need to expand on, and you can't because it's short. So anyway, and my grandma knocked me down too. So anyway, but yeah, it's just basically about a relationship that I had when I was a freshman. About this guy, I changed the name and things like that. So, but situations are real. So there's that. And Living Like Royalty is also a short story based off the Silver Fang series, and it's about all the characters, and just each chapter is just about them and their mindset and what they think and things like that. And you kind of do have to read that before you read the Silver Fang Control, which is the second series for Silver Fang series. Oh yeah, Silver Fang, I think I got it from my sister. I don't really know. There's not a deep meaning for the title. I was trying to figure out what sounds werewolf enough, and it was just that. Found, it's about the main character finding who she is, finding her parents, things like that, or her father to be exact, and her other family members. Control is about her brother, and the reason why it's named Control, if you read the first book, you will know. I'm just gonna go through other books that I have that I've posted before, but then I was like, nah, I'm gonna keep this to myself because I had other stuff going on, and I didn't want to promise, like, post a story and people who are dedicated to this story be like, where is that? Where is that? Because I have people write to me about that. Where is that? Especially for Legend and Twin Gods. People are like, where's that? Where's that? And I'm posting for other stories. So I just, took it off. So one story was called Nightmare Revives Rise Again novel. And I got the name from a friend. This is a vampire book, by the way. And I think I got this inspiration from a dream. I don't remember. But I got it from a dream, and also some from reading other paranormal books, and it's just a combination of everything, and then I just make it to my own. Yeah, so it's just basically about a girl who she thought she was human. I remember. I mostly got influence from this anime called Vampire Knight, and I was obsessed with that anime. I loved it. I loved the drama. I loved the manga. I loved everything. And